I'm not gonna lie to you. This line is clever. I'm not gonna lie to you. This line is clever. I'm not gonna lie to you. This line is clever. What can I say? I'm on fire. I'm not gonna lie to you. This line is clever. What can I say? I'm on fire. I'm not gonna lie to you. This line is clever. This line is clever.
What's up, chat? How's it going? How y'all doing today? Appreciate y'all joining me this fine Monday evening. We'll get started here shortly. Just waiting on my co-host Origami to show up. And then we'll get right into it. There's a couple things we're going to be going over. I have seen the BAM map updates and some more of the operations manual. I think that's probably going to have to require its own stream for us to go through sections of the operation manual to see. And I think that that's one that we'll probably go over with Relic so that because he has much better insight and he'll be able to really key in on the differences between the franchise agreement and the operations manual, and kind of look at some of the contradictions in between the two, and he'll be able, I think, to give a much better insight into that than we will. I mean, because all we can really do is read and infer from just things that we've seen on the surface level, but I'm sure he's going to have a much more familiar look at that. We need a rock. Yeah. Hey, we got to play some of that intro music, right? So, but I wanted for tonight, I wanted to go over some of the things that BBQ Counselor revealed this past weekend on his stream, which I think are, oh boy, yeah, they're pretty spicy things. And I think again, when we find out stuff like this, right, about Ammon McNeff and whoever else is involved in this whole ordeal, again, we get a much better insight into their character, right, and the kind of things that they're about. With this specifically, I think is something that when we hear about something like this, it kind of shows us that the apple didn't fall too far from the tree, right? Because we've gone over some of the Dan McNeff stuff, Dan McNeff versus his sons Ammon and Matt, and it seems like like I said, apple didn't fall too far from the tree. We see a lot of Eamon's behavior and his actions, reflect a lot of what his father did, right? With the fraudulent PPE loan thing and all that. And I think that's important. Shows the character of these individuals and how corrupt they are and the things they're doing. So, yeah, Rose is great. Rose is always on top of stuff, always letting us know when there's updates, and I appreciate that. And the BAM map, yeah, it seems like there's been a few more. There's been a few more, but I think the one from the one from today is more sections of the manual, but there's an interesting one here, and I think this is probably one of the ones that Rose wanted me to see. So I guess we can kind of go over this before we get into BBQ's video. I think this will be a good primer, this part of the BAM map, right? So we'll go over this. So thank you to Rose for always letting us know. Look at this. I tend not to see people as humans. Let's see what this is all about, right? Let's see what, there's actually audio of this. Interesting. Ammon McNeff, chief executive, Bricks Minifigs, said it on the podcast of the real estate firm. Oh, this is from that same podcast. I hadn't gone over the whole thing. So this is apparently from that podcast with Morrow Hill, I believe. It was not the only thing the owner said in the. So it says Ammon McNeff, chief executive of Bricks and Minifigs, said it on the podcast of the real estate firm his franchise recommends. When the host asked him to name his single greatest strength, it was not the only thing the owner said in the hour. Oh boy. So here we go. We're gonna hear this, y'all. It's the lizard people. Here we go. Let's see.
And then Matt, what are your each of your superpowers? You can't have the same one now.
Yeah. No, I think I'm a little bit more probably strategic. So like I look at things way down the road. And so like, and that's sometimes problematic, right? Because like, I'm not thinking about what has to happen today. I'm thinking about, okay, well, yes, there's things that have to happen today, but like, if we don't do these other things, we don't get to XYZ down the road. So I sometimes think a little bit too far down the road. But that's a good thing, and you need that, right? Like, and yeah, we're talking about EOS and the visionary and some of those things. But like I tend to try and think 5 steps ahead, and that's a really positive thing, I think. But because of that, I tend to not see people as humans. I tend to see people as, like not in a bad way, but just something like, okay, well, great. How is this person going to help us accomplish this thing? And if they can't, we need a different, like machine in there, like whatever. So I see,
that's a pretty roundabout way of saying that he sees people as objects. That's what it sounds like he's saying to me, right? But he doesn't want to say that because he knows how bad that sounds. So you can see like he kind of trips up a little bit here when he says this. Let's go back, right? He kind of knows, like by him saying, I don't see people as humans, he knows like, oh crap, I probably should say something that's not going to sound really bad. Right? You could hear him trying to figure it out.
People more as like the output machines, and
see, look,
people more as like the output machines.
Let's go back a little bit further. Hold on.
Not in a bad way, but just something like, okay, well, great. How is,
hold on. See, look,
I tend to not see people as humans. I tend to
see, he, as soon as he said that, he knew that he was like, oh crap, I should probably clarify that. Is that a Freudian slip on Ammon's part? I don't know. But you could see him like realizing, that was probably the worst possible way I could have phrased that. Right?
See people as, like not in a bad way, but just something like, okay, well, great. How is this person going to help us accomplish this thing? And if they can't, we need a different, like machine in there, like whatever. So I see, people more as like the output machines. And Matt,
or did you hear this? Did you just hear this shit?
I heard that sociopath, with his fucking psychotic bullshit. Yeah.
This is what he said here, man. This is so wild because it's like you could tell he knows he made a big mistake by saying this.
Mm-hmm. He sounds crazy.
People as humans, I tend to see people as, like not in a bad way, but just something like, okay, well,
he
What?
realizes he fucked up. He's
I
like,
wonder what he was going to say. I wonder what he
Yeah.
sees people as animals.
no, you have been great. He's like, I did not see people as humans. I see them as objects. Oh shit, that sounds worse.
Yeah.
Well,
I
not in
was
a
gonna
bad
go with
way.
it. Yeah.
A good object, an object that brings people joy and pleasure. I don't mean in a sexual way. I mean, no, I mean, or, you know, it's just like, yeah, exactly. He did a Porky Pig, dude.
Hell yeah, he did.
He didn't see humans as meat. Well, I mean, if he saw them as meat, then we might be having.
Ammon McNeff on the Epstein files? Question mark. Like fucking. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, it's just like, was he a fan of Jeffrey Dahmer? Right? What's in your lunch bag, Eamon?
He's a fan of many Jeffries. Yeah, the Confederation of Jeffries.
The Confederation of Jeffries. Oh my God.
great. How is this person going to help us accomplish this thing? And if they can't, we need a different, like machine.
That sounds so bad. That sounds so bad the way he's saying it. How is this person gonna help us accomplish these things? Basically, how are they gonna it's just like it look, in business, obviously, yes, the goal is to make money. All right. There's no doubt about that. But it's just like when you when you say something before that, prior to that, along the lines like, I don't see people as humans, but not in a bad way. Probably not the best way to prime that, right? Wow.
I wonder.
In there,
I just
like
wonder.
whatever. So I see.
Oh, go ahead, Or.
No, I was saying, I just wonder, like, what was he gonna say? I wish he would have finished before he started to defend himself. One of the few times I think he caught himself before he fucked up. So
yeah,
don't know.
before he really went down the road.
People more as like the output machines, and Matt, like at least from our dynamic together, he is very good at helping me see people more as like the individuals, not just the output machines.
His little brother helps him see people as actual people. Okay.
Sounds like a sociopath.
But the thing is though, him saying that just kind of reconfirms what Relic said, right? How Matt is the friendlier one and Matt is more the people person one.
It also shows you probably shouldn't do any kind of like business or anything with Eamon if he doesn't see people like as like other people. I don't know. It's a good indicator he's going to steamroll you.
Yep. If you unperson somebody, right? I think it makes it easier. It's always going to make it easier to screw them, right? If you just unperson someone, if you just see somebody as a money mark, and that's all you see them as, right?
Why do you think on the internet people try to like smear and make you look as horrible as possible? So like,
Absolutely.
it's the same kind of thing. Oh, if you don't see anybody as a human, what are you capable of?
Well, exactly. You dehumanize them. It makes it easier for you to screw them over and not feel any kind of pity or remorse.
Makes it make sense that they stole Legos from a sick old man, right?
Exactly. It makes it easier to do stuff like that, or to tell Brian and his lawyers to fuck right off, right? Without giving it a second thought.
Just saying.
Yep.
So that's very helpful and useful for me. But yeah, so strategic long-term vision.
Yeah. Okay, so it says the recording is a public record. Every quotation below is Eamon or Matthew McNeff's own words transcribed from the recording and the speaker identified by voice print. The recommended real estate firm and the funding firms appear nowhere in BAM's 2026 franchise disclosure document. We already know what they are, though. It's Morrow Hill, right? The owner said a great deal more in the same hour in the order a listener hears it. Excuse me. The output machines. The host asked each brother to name his own superpower. Eamon McNeff went first. He said he is strategic, that he thinks 5 steps ahead, and then he said what comes with. And then we heard that, right? Because of that, I tend not to see people as humans. I tend to see people as, how is this person going to help us accomplish this thing? And if they can't, we need a different machine in there. Bro, that sounds so fucking callous. I see, people more like the output machines. I see people, like the output. Oh, wow. Eamon described his
Output
business
machine.
with Matt. He said is very good at helping me see people more as the individuals, not just as the output machines, as fucking human beings, as real, as real people. The question was about his strengths. People expire. He had reached for the same idea 16 minutes earlier, asked how the company grows. The right person in the right role at the right time, and then they expire. Bro,
Huh.
this dude talks. He talks about people like they're fucking milk. You know
He
what I
talks
mean?
about them like their
or
iPhones.
robots.
They're gonna go obsolete, you know? Like,
Yeah. They can't continue growing with the business. You've got to know when they are no longer the right fit because their time has expired. Wow. How they choose the franchisees. On selecting new owners, Ammon McNeff described an 8-step process that ends with a required trip to Utah and a purpose for it. We identify people who we feel like are going to maintain that culture and that are going to continue to be champions of the brand without significant dilution. He described the franchisees who came before a vendor was brought in to find their stores. Most of them were terrible at it. They're not experts in that space. What they say the company sells, confirmed. Toward the end of the same episode, asked what makes Bricks and Minifigs special, the owner answered in single words: passion, connection. People like to connect with each other over a piece of plastic. It's so much more. It is a community. It is a connection. The last word that I will say on that is joy. Both descriptions are from the 57 Minutes. The firm whose show this was. The podcast is hosted by Jonathan Hill, co-founder of Morrow Hill, the real estate firm that Bricks and Minifigs own recruitment deck names as a recommended vendor at no extra cost. This site reported that deck and the disclosure gap it raises on July 22nd. Hill also listed both brothers and Bricks and Minifigs publicly inside a group he titled Utah Franchise Family. On the episode, the owners described the firm in their own voice. Find somebody that can help us manage the real estate side of things, bring them in and plug it into the system. Up to that point, every franchisee was left to their own devices to try and find a good retail location, and most of them were terrible at it. Moments after the praise, the host who co-founded the firm being praised said on the recording, "I promise I did not pay these two nice guys to say this." How they got the company. The brothers did not found Bricks and Minifigs. They bought the franchisor about a year after opening a store and described the structure this way. It was not investment we went over this actually on a video. It was not investment bankers. Initially, it was absorbed into the other business that we were running. And we didn't take on the full stock either. There was a CFO who stayed on board as well, who ran the Boise, Idaho store. That's Reed Brimhall. And Reed is still with us as part of the board and our CFO. Eventually, we split it out from the other businesses. The other business was in their earlier words, legal structuring services for healthcare providers. The franchisor was run inside it before being split out. The site was reported that CFO Reed and the roles he holds at once, and the enterprise built around the brand in the enterprise. The new supply line. So to this for a moment, getting back to this, for those of you that didn't see that video that I made about this, because that's the section I went over in the video. I thought it was interesting that they only mentioned Reed, right? When it came to, because this came as a response to the question of how they basically got Bricks and Minifigs. So they said, obviously, it wasn't investment bankers. They didn't get investment bankers on board or anything like that. It was basically them, and it was Reed Brimhall, which leads me to believe, again, that they're the three that own the company. And if there's anybody, because I would think if there's anybody, it's not to say that there might not be one or two other people that might have shares in the company as well. But I think that this kind of adds a little bit more weight to the theory that Reed is the primary shareholder because he's the only one that's mentioned, right? Because I would think if there was other people that held a good chunk of the company, they would have been mentioned, right? If they owned more than like 5%, I think they would have been mentioned. You know, if they hold a significant portion of the business, and they're not. It's just them and Reed. So I think that adds a little bit more weight to the theory that Reed might not just be 50-50. He might actually be, you know, the primary shareholder in the company, but we don't know. Again, we still don't know. He hasn't confirmed it publicly. I don't think he will. I think that the other thing too is he doesn't have to because it's a private company. But if he is majority shareholder, there's no upside to him revealing that publicly at all. So that's why I don't believe he will do it if he is. The new supply line. Asked about the Lego Group, an owner described the change to how product reaches the stores. Starting in April, we will be distributing all new inbox Lego to our entire brand, a direct distribution relationship with Lego Group, a weekly meeting with them, with our rep. A franchisor supplying its stores, their core product is an item 8 subject, what item 8 already discloses, and the rebates the company reserved for itself is the approved vendor list. And I think we kind of briefly went over that last time we went to the Banfiles website. The host put a figure to the pace, and neither owner disputed it. Since 2023, you've opened more than 150 locations. The site's store map, built from the company's own disclosure filings, shows how many are actually operating. It is lower than the openings announced. The founding as they tell it. Ammon McNeff narrated where the brand came from. 2 men were invited to look at an older woman's Lego collection. We can't really get the story straight whether or not she knew what she was doing by inviting 2 people there. Instead of bidding against each other, they decided to partner up and buy the whole collection at a cheaper rate and then just split it amongst themselves. That is the company's origin story told by its chief executive. 2 buyers agreeing not to compete, so the seller was paid less. Already on the record, the recommended real estate vendor, July 22nd, the approved vendor structure of the rebate, spam reserve, July 25th. The financing, the disclosure document says it does not provide July 26th and July 13th. The funding firms, July 3rd. The disclosure document read against itself across 5 editions, July 13th. The chief financial officer, July 10th. This episode is the owner's own voice on top of the record. The honest caveat. A person's description of his own management style is not evidence of a crime, and this site does not present it as one. The founding anecdote is the owner's account of the other men's conduct years before they arrived. That the recommended firms are not named in the disclosure document is a fact. Whether the franchise rule required them to be named and whether any referral money passed are the questions analyzed in the entries linked above, not asserted here. Every quotation in the owner's own words, spoken voluntarily on a public recording. Bricks Minifigs tells prospective owners it sells passion, connection, community, and joy. On the same recording, as chief executive says he does not see people as humans. He says he sees output machines. He said it on the podcast, and the vendor his franchise recommends, and the vendor is nowhere in his disclosure document. So there you have that. There you have good old Ammon McNeff,
Mr.
who,
McNeff.
sounding as soulless as usual. So now we have our good buddy BBQ Counselor. He did this
Barbecue.
Yep,
Barbecue menu has arrived.
Mm-hmm. He did this stream this past Sunday, and this I think was one of the key things that came out of it was some stuff that he went over here.
First things
so we're gonna go over this, and we'll link the video as soon as we're done here.
first, what am I cooking today? I am cooking pulled pork. So let me show you all what I got here. So this is a small one.
That's
this is about a
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Almost 5-pound pulled pork. It's pork shoulder. We got a little 5-pound, kind of like little baby pulled pork. We'll make some sliders later. All right, I'm gonna pop this in the barbecue. I'll be right back. So the last week, we've seen quite a lot of videos about Ammon McNeff and Reckless Ben, and in particular, we saw the body cam footage from Orem where Ammon McNeff placed a call into a police officer, had the police officer come to the Bricks and Minifigs store in Orem and proceeded to give the officer a litany of what I would describe as mistruths at best. On top of that, this same man who owns what is supposed to be a family brand store about Legos where kids come and have birthday parties, talks about wanting to arm his employees and discusses the pros and cons of with the police officer about getting a shotgun. This man is just so overboard. And I thought now would be the good time to let's dive into the sordid past of Ammon McNeff. I mean, we all know a lot of the large beats and why we're not fans of Ammon McNeff, but this guy's got a lot of problems. And so what I want to do today is I want to walk through some of those problems. Ammon McNeff himself has had several legal problems over the last 12 years. So let's orient folks and talk about what we're going to see in some of these documents today. Well, we're going to see multiple instances of Ammon McNeff ignoring court orders. We're going to see multiple instances of Ammon McNeff refusing or failing to pay bills. We're going to see instances where Ammon McNeff failed to pay his taxes. And we're going to see instances where Ammon McNeff refused to pay his lawyers. And the lawyers I'm specifically talking about are the lawyers he hired to sue his own father about 7 years ago. So
that's nuts, right? Considering the fact, right? You would think of all the lawyers, right? That you're going to stiff. You're going to stiff the ones that
won you the
helped you
lawsuit.
take down. Yeah, that won you your case against your pops, right? Right, that probably helped put you on the path of, where you're at now in a lot of ways, right?
Hell yeah, John.
Because I would have to think, right? I would have to think that if for whatever reason, Ammon had lost that particular suit, I don't think he would be where he's at right now, right?
Yeah. No.
You think that would be fair to say, Oro?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
It seems like it was where he's at right now.
Seems like it was the beginning to a lot. So
yeah, it seemed like that was the catalyst for Ammon's, for lack of a better way,
hostile takeover practices.
Well, for his ascension, right, to where he's at now.
My origin story.
Yeah. His origin story. Thank you. Yes. I think in a lot of ways it was like an origin story for them. So it makes you wonder, what if that hadn't gone his or his brother's way? Where would they be now? I would assume they'd be in debt, right? In really bad debt. They probably would have been largely discredited, right? Because they didn't win that suit.
It reminds me of the Joker. You want to know how I got these scars? My father, he was a terrible man. That's, I just imagine him going off. It's like, I'll tell you about Dan. He was an awful man. He was a drunk. Well, I could see it. He
was a drunk. Look at me.
Yeah. You get it.
Look at me.
Who's Bane? Josh? Josh is Bane.
Oh, yeah.
They sent me ducks to my house, Batman. Like fucking asshole. Piece of shit.
Stole the Legos, bitch.
Yeah. I didn't take any. I was born with the Legos. Shut the fuck up. Oh my god, I hate that guy. I fucking hate that guy.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve the Legos. Yeah. Freaking asshole.
What a piece of shit. What is Brandon? The Scarecrow? Just nowhere to be seen.
No, because I mean the Scarecrow still talked. He'd have to be somebody. He's probably what's the one Batman villain that doesn't talk a lot? Is it
what, the fucking ventriloquist puppet? The fucking the Scarface, the doll?
No, isn't there one that's like that doesn't shit, or am I thinking another superhero?
You're probably right. I don't know. I can't remember. I can't think of it right now.
I'm sure somebody will say it in the chat. Doesn't Batman have a villain as part of his rogues gallery that doesn't like say a lot? The Mumbler. I don't know if that's it. That sounds.
That's John.
Yeah,
that's John.
Yeah.
Instead of the Riddler, there's the Diddler. I wonder which one that one is.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wonder which one that one is. Throwing it out there. Anyways.
He sued his own dad for control of the company that they jointly owned and managed, tried to get the dad thrown out of the company, and then allegedly, ultimately didn't pay his lawyers who helped him with that. So we're going to get into all of these things because I think the more that we get the public awareness out there about what kind of person this really is, maybe it will encourage some of the Bricks and Minifigs franchisees to demand some change. I am not going to cover
That's a good one.
these documents wall to wall. Some of these documents and some of the parts of this story are things that I could spend an hour just by themselves, an entire video, an entire live stream just by themselves. And nobody wants to sit here and watch me pour through legal documents for 3 hours. December 2014.
I wouldn't mind. No, that'd be a long stream though.
What's going on in December 2014? Well, at the time, Ammon McNeff was running his father's company called Legally Mine. There have been a lot of extensive videos by other content creators about Legally Mine and what it does. But just to keep things simple, they help advise companies how to hide their assets and protect their assets from litigation or from tax, things like that. So in December,
yep, asset protection. Thank you so much, CMAD, for the $4.99. Someone needs to file a FTC complaint. That's what the unhappy owner should do. Predatory franchise process, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, it might not be too. Yeah, no, I don't think it's too late. They should, right?
2014, what happens? Well, the Utah Department of Workforce Services had served a subpoena on Ammon McNeff. Ammon McNeff failed to produce the required documents. So in other words, the Utah state government served a subpoena onto Ammon McNeff, said, you need to give us some documents, you need to appear before us. And Ammon McNeff just didn't do it. He didn't comply.
No.
This is completely blowing off.
Go ahead.
No, that's what he's like. They're like, Ammon, come over here, appear. No, he just didn't do it. What a prick.
I'm not doing it. Not doing it. You ain't gonna get me.
You can't make me.
No.
Eso no se hace.
No.
And while it's a small step, it kind of orients us into how does this guy view the law? So what do we see here? Well, this company, who is Outsourced Receivables Management, they are a collections agency. They are a collections agency for a bank. We see here in paragraph 3, plaintiff's assigner, Zion's bank overdrafts for an indebtedness. What is the indebtedness? Well, the company is the bank overdraft. So apparently Ammon McNeff and this Nicole person overdrafted and owed the bank a bunch of money. It started off small, sum of $316 for valuable goods and services, plus interest to date at a prejudgment rate of 18% per annum. So also plaintiff is entitled to payment of a reasonable attorney's fee. So not a lot of dollars at issue, but here's data point number 2, writing bad checks. How bad did this have to get for the bank to assign it to a collections agency, which by itself probably takes many, many months, right? And then that collections agency didn't get anywhere. So then they sued Ammon McNeff. I mean, this must have been hanging out for a long time. And they say the indebtedness occurred on or about December 16th, 2013. And what happened? So this is the next half of this data point. Default judgment. This is the next step in this case. So what happens here? What is a default judgment? Well, a default judgment means Ammon McNeff was served with the lawsuit and he ignored it for long enough that the court said, well, okay, you're not going to respond to the complaint. I'm entering judgment against you. And so automatically, because Ammon McNeff ignored the lawsuit,
you lose, sir. Good day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He now has a default judgment. So what happens after that? Because he still didn't pay and they had to garnish his wages. And at this point, he's now up to $832 on an original $300 debt. At the time is supposedly president of Legally Mine LLC, the hide your legal assets. And I guess part of the strategy here is you get sued, just ignore the lawsuit. And I guess we see a lot of the similar types of stuff nowadays, don't we? Second case here, just blatantly ignoring, defaulting on bank bills, ignoring collections agencies, ignoring lawsuits. Now we're going to jump to yet another chapter. So we're taking a little bit of a detour on our trip to how it came to be that Steve Sumzion got totally screwed over by Ammon McNeff, because Ammon McNeff didn't pay his taxes either. So he didn't pay his bank. He didn't pay collection agencies. He defaulted in a lawsuit. And now let's talk about how he evaded taxes.
This is wild, right? Because this all happened when he was part of Legally Mine, and it's not like he didn't have a good position, at least on paper. It seemed like he was in a good position at Legally Mine, right? Not to mention his dad. It's a company that I believe his father started up too, on top of everything.
Yes.
So it's like, bro, how are you $316 in the hole, right?
Right.
Like, I'm not saying that maybe, because remember they said it was him and I guess some woman he mentioned, right? That was their debt. Makes me wonder.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder. You know what I mean? Because I would assume Ammon is married. So it's like, so who is that? I mean, is that a maybe a special friend?
A mistress
that he had?
It's a mistress.
I don't know. I'm not saying you can't. There's no way to know for sure.
Grinder.
But if it wasn't fully his responsibility, right? Oh, Rachel and they're saying Nicole, they think it's his now wife. Okay. So maybe his girlfriend at the time, now wife. Okay.
Mistress. No, I'm just kidding.
Makes you wonder what their hobbies or habits were, right? For them to get $316 in the hole.
Yeah. Cocaine. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if he does cocaine.
I don't know. Just saying, there's people that like to do a lot of
cocaine.
They like to do a lot of illicit things as recreation. I don't know. Could be cocaine, heroin.
Drugs are an expensive habit.
Just saying. Of course, I'm just kidding around, right? I think Ammon, there's no way to know for sure what it was that got Ammon in the hole. It could have been just dumb shit. It could have been gambling. It could have been who knows what not. He could have just been really bad with money, period. He
could have just not paid a lot of people and owed them money.
Yep.
He probably owed way more money than it was to just pay his lawyer.
Yeah. Yep. So, could have been gambling, could have been, maybe he took his girlfriend at the time, who maybe is his now wife, maybe he took her on some shopping sprees and didn't
he bought a bunch of arcade 1-up machines and just fucking chilled.
And put him in the background of his office and,
and just left him there.
just left him there and, yeah. I don't know.
I'm broke, guys. Please.
But it's just weird to me. It's just weird that a guy, like I said, in the position that he was in his father's company, which should have been a pretty well-paying position, would be negative $300 some odd in the bank.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
Now in a lawsuit, filed April 14th, 2022. And why is Daniel McNeff suing his sons? Well, he's suing his sons because Legally Mine got an interesting letter. It got an interesting letter from the
Pung King has entered the room.
I'm here.
What is up,
the party?
King? How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Good, man. We're just going over BBQ's video here. Pretty interesting stuff.
Internal Revenue Service. I have covered this in another video. I went through and talked about this stuff. I'll link my other video in the description. Please take a minute to go look at it. I don't think it's a very long video, and I get into this stuff. I think it's interesting. So let's now jump in, I guess, the second or third chapter here of the saga of Legally Mine versus Daniel McNeff. The reason why I am going to cover this isn't to go into the details of this. I'm going to touch on the broad strokes, but there's some important things that we get to the next instance of just Ammon McNeff being a deadbeat. This is October 16, 2019, the lawsuit is filed. So Ammon McNeff is still president of Legally Mine, I believe. He and his brother each have minority ownership interest in the company. Daniel McNeff has the majority ownership interest of like 70% or something, and then the remainder is split between the other two. They sue Daniel McNeff essentially over control of the company. You see that Ammon McNeff is represented by someone named Stephen Sumzian, and I may not be pronouncing that right. And Legally Mine is represented by Steve Sumzian. So what I've got on the screen now, this is a federal lawsuit. Notice again who's representing Ammon and Matthew, Steve Sumzian. This matters. And just to foreshadow this, Ammon didn't pay him. Ammon didn't pay the guy, at least allegedly. And we're going to get into that. So we've seen this Steve Sumzian and Cameron Christensen represent Ammon and Matt across now multiple lawsuits. They represented him in the original lawsuit with the dad. I think they represented them in the arbitration. There's now a federal lawsuit where he's representing Ammon and McNeff, and they didn't pay him. What is going on here? Well, this is Ammon and Matt suing their dad a second time, now in federal court. The important point of this federal,
the fact that they didn't pay him, it makes more sense now. Now that he, he put the whole that he was that he could even pay back $300. It's like, how's he going to pay back thousands of dollars, right? Around that, because I don't think this was that much. Well, I think this might have been 4 years removed from that time, I believe, because I think this lawsuit, if I remember, was like 2020 or 2021, something around there. So it wasn't that far removed from there. So this is pretty wild. He still didn't have his shit together by this time.
lawsuit for today's story is that this is the second time they hired Steve Sumzian to represent them. So they've got multiple lawsuits. They've used this guy as their lawyer suing their father. That's where we have the next chapter come in. And so let's kind of summarize where we're at now. Ignored subpoenas by the Utah state government to provide documentation. Didn't pay bank, overdrafted on bank, bounced checks, whatever. Ignored the collections agency, ignored the lawsuit, ignored the default judgment, had to have his wages garnished a first time. Gets into a lawsuit with his father. As a result of that lawsuit, they go their separate ways. But Ammon McNeff then gets his wages garnished a second time by the IRS for $170-something thousand of unpaid taxes, a massive amount of unpaid taxes. So now where are we? Well, we're at the next chapter. Turns out Steve Sumzian didn't get paid, representing Ammon McNeff in all of these lawsuits.
Like I said, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? The daddy with the fraudulent PPE loans, these dudes tax evading, and then they stiff their lawyer.
They ratted out their dad too.
All these years.
Yeah. Does that mean it's just like one thing after the other, right?
Wasn't getting paid. Now, this case was filed in 2025, a little more than a year ago.
What?
It's still going on. There's stuff happening in this lawsuit like a couple days ago. Ammon McNeff.
Crap. It's still going on. Wow. For some reason, I thought this was like, I could have sworn this was like some years back.
There's I've been noticing people haven't been talking a lot about the wage garnishment he talked about earlier.
Yeah,
it feels like everyone's like, well, that was a while ago. Maybe maybe that's not relevant now. This being like happening,
it's still very relevant
right now. It's like, well, this one's super relevant, and this pattern is relevant.
Yes. Now, especially him mentioning this, because I thought this was like, because I know that the suit was filed like I think the initial one against their dad was filed, I think in like 20 or 2021. And then I know they filed another one after that. I just couldn't remember when, but I guess it was last year, according to BBQ. This is wild, man. It's just like, or no. I think they filed more than one suit against their dad. And I think this one is the one for the Sumzian business is the one that was filed last year. But I think the one for their dad was filed, I think, what was it like? They filed two against their dad. I just can't remember the exact dates. I know they were a couple years apart, though.
Wasn't it in like 2021?
I think it was like one was 2020. I think one was in 2020. I think the other one was in 2022, but I could be completely wrong about that. I'd have to go back and look through the documents again.
It was after the PP loans. Yeah, it's after the PP loans were distributed.
Yes. That's when they filed their second suit. And I guess, and then this one I didn't even know about, that the Sumption, business law had filed a lawsuit against them. I didn't even know about this one.
There's breaking news about this video, by the way.
What happened?
Barbecue just let us know that the pork wasn't finished till 9 p.m.
Dude,
did
it come out good though? I bet you it was amazing.
Well, he posted a picture on his Twitter. It looks great.
We'll share that after his video. See how delicious it looks.
Is actively fighting his former lawyer because the former lawyer is like, "Hey, I didn't get paid. You need to pay me for the work I did." So we can see this thing's going on for a long time.
Wow.
And really, I do have a couple documents we can look at. There are several hearings, but this thing is going on even to like 3 days ago, July 23rd, 2026. They're still fighting this stuff. This is actively being litigated. So while all the reckless Ben stuff is going on, Ammon McNeff is having to fight a totally separate lawsuit about him not having paid his legal bills to the last lawyer. Some of you may be asking, why?
Could you imagine if the whole reason that he's suing Ben, right, is in the hopes that somehow he gets the money to pay back these unpaid legal bills? So he can be like, well, if I sue Ben, maybe I could get that, which would be the fucking stupidest plan ever. But if I sue this guy, I think I got a chance to win money, and then I could pay off the lawyer that I didn't pay.
That motherfucker's a crook, John. He's not going to pay anybody if he wins that money.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
of course not. I think he's got to show his pattern of behavior at this point. But could you imagine if that was like his retarded logic behind any?
No, dude, I thought about it because I was like, oh, that explains the $10 million lawsuit. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, he's not going to give that money to anybody.
No, yeah, of course, and he wouldn't get anywhere near close to that. I mean, like I said, it's obvious that the reason why there's so many causes of actions in his lawsuit against Ben is because he's hoping that at least, enough of them will stick where he'll get what he feels is a sizable amount, right? If he has to go all the way with it, right? Which I don't think he will.
This was the amount of the GoFundMe. Maybe.
Well,
look at for that, maybe.
That's perfect. It's over 500,000. That's how much I owe. Perfect. Take it.
We want $10 billion. What a loser.
Yeah. Why would Denton's represent Ammon McNeff, knowing that he didn't pay his previous lawyer? Well, I suspect probably what happened is Denton's required a significant payment up front and probably put a lot.
Yeah, I would assume that he's on retainer with them, right? Thank you, Billy Selling, so much for the $4.99. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for the support. Flat Broke Ammon, sell your Lego to us. Refresh Toys in Bowling Green, Ohio. 70% off comps, no consignment, no layaway. We pay old people. Very nice.
Good shit.
So there you go. Get it to Billy Selling. Get over to Billy Selling. Solve your problems, Ammon.
Of conditions on Ammon McNeff in order to represent him going forward, because they wouldn't take the business risk of hiring someone who didn't pay his last lawyers and is being sued by his last lawyers. They must have gotten some kind of deal up front for a very hefty retainer. All right, so the next document I want to get to. So we do have some documents in this lawsuit between Sumzian and Ammon McNeff, and so we do know a few things here. All right, so here's the number. This is wild. Plaintiff's nature of the action. The plaintiff seeks payment for legal representation of Ammon McNeff and Matthew McNeff in multiple legal matters pursuant to signed fee agreement in the amount of no less than $524,000, $500,000 they owe Sumzian. Okay, this is now lit. Let me close the. And of course, the wind is blowing like right towards where I'm sitting. Let's check the temp. This temp is a little low. So I'm actually going to add a second log right now. And the reason why I'm adding a second log is because I want this thing to be smoking and cooking at.
I thought he was going to be like, because I want to.
Today I'm going to go for around 250 degrees, maybe as much as 275. Back to the story, 524,000. That's wild. That's totally wild. Their former lawyer says that he's out $500,000. The sons say, no, we're not out. You're not out $500,000. And in fact, Legally Mine paid some of that money to you. but on the other hand, Legally Mind has been dismissed from the case. The reason why I brought it up today, we go back to unpaid, overdrafts, ignoring lawsuits, unpaid taxes, unpaid collections. They didn't. I mean, this Sumsian guy did a lot of work for them over like
pattern of behavior.
Several years. He's claiming $500,000 in unpaid legal fees. We flipped
nuts to
through
me, man.
35 pages of reasons and excuses why Ammon McNeff shouldn't have to pay his lawyer back. Maybe we'll dig into this particular document in more detail in a future video. But the bottom line is every time he's accused of doing something wrong, or every time he's caught in a lie, the excuses go crazy. And so, it turns out you didn't pay your lawyer a bunch of money, and he's got all these wild, 35 pages of excuses why he shouldn't have had to pay his lawyer. I don't know. I mean, we've seen this over and over and over again with the guy, right?
See, and that's the retardation behind it, right? Because again, if you got proof, right, that you paid him, obviously that's going to be one of the first things you show. It's like, look, we have bank statements, we have checks, all this. Look at all this evidence. We paid the guy. That'd be the first thing you
That's a ridiculous idea. I don't think I should have to pay my lawyers. That's crazy. Yeah, what a fucking maniac.
Fucking stupid, man.
There's no U-Haul. Show him the picture of the U-Haul. Oh, the U-Haul is there. But it turns out the guy had to drive.
He did do that. He did do fucking that. Yeah. What a fucking moron. Oh my God. A retard of epic proportions. Like fucking.
Yep.
Oh my God, bro. All the IQ went away with Ammon's mustache, bro. I don't know.
Yep.
His mullet and his mustache.
The U-Haul was there, but I can explain.
And get a trailer, and only a U-Haul could be a trailer. Why wouldn't you just rent a truck?
The U-Haul is there, but it's not what you think.
It's not what you think.
Instead of a U-Haul, none of it makes.
Yeah, it's a different U-Haul for a different purpose.
Any sense? He's driving all, Brandon Best is driving all around with the U-Haul to do all sorts of things. I mean, it's just totally wild. Bottom line is Ammon McNeff a deadbeat. So let me put this out to you all. Is Ammon McNeff a deadbeat? Yes or no? Like my opinion on this.
He's worse than that to me.
I think the guy's had serious problems in the past. Somewhere in the mess of the McNeff Civil War, Daniel McNeff, the father, attached a document, a letter he had sent to their arbitrator when they were still in arbitration. And the dad had said something about he's going to let the sons have Bricks and Minifigs as long as they haven't run the company into the ground. And I think that we can infer two things from that.
That's
First,
funny.
I think we can infer that the dad thinks these guys are financially just knuckleheads.
Yeah.
And I think that's completely consistent with what we've seen today. Unpaid bank debts, unpaid taxes, unpaid legal bills. I think they're knuckleheads. The second thing we can infer from that is the dad thinks that they're going to destroy Bricks and Minifigs. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here.
Well, too late for that, right? And if that's true, I mean, then Dad was right. Dan McNeff was actually right. So,
yeah,
I appreciate everyone being here. As I mentioned before, this is a new channel. I am just getting started in this. It's it's like a month and a half old, and the amount of support that you all have shown in coming out and watching these live streams and watching all my videos is just tremendous. So, please continue to watch the videos, drop a like, drop a subscribe. Yeah. If you haven't, please consider becoming a channel member. We're trying to grow. We're trying to grow as much as we can. And
sub to barbecue.
The more I grow, the more I can do barbecue, the more I can do legal commentary and try to simplify and bring the common sense of what's going on in the complicated legal situation. So with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
And that is BBQ Counselor. I'll share his video here in the chat for those of you that want to see without our commentary in full. And if you haven't subbed to BBQ Counselor, be sure to do so. Does fantastic work over there. Great videos. Does a good job of explaining stuff and is always finding something new. So be sure to check him out if you guys get the chance. Oh, wait, that is not the right. That is not the right link.
Pulled pork would make excellent barbecue subs.
That is not the right link. Okay, here we
It
go.
would.
So I
It
will-
would, Punk King.
That is the right link. All right. So, yeah, BBQ is awesome. Be sure to check him out. Great dude. We've had him on before. We got to have him on again sometime soon. But yeah, be sure to check out his channel. So
Hell
the next
yeah.
thing. Oh. Last relic. What's
what
up,
up?
buddy? How
Yeah,
you doing?
Sorry,
Welcome
I'm
to the
late.
stream. No, you
It's all
good. You
good.
good, bro? You
Technically,
good.
the kids are still up.
It's okay,
They're
man.
still up.
It's okay. That's all right, man.
You're
That's
not
all right.
like you came after the first relic.
Yes. I bring it up all the time. Nobody
What?
cares. Slay. I was like, what was the first relic? Who was the first relic? And you're like, go to hell. I'm like, okay.
I never said that. I
What
said
is
suck
most
it easy.
interesting about all of
Oh,
it
yeah. That's-
is actually
my bad. Hold on, let me
that
pause this.
Google wants
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, we were
no.
we were arguing.
I
over
just told him
nothing
to suck it
important.
easy.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what the first relic was, but I am the last.
There you go.
There we
Hey,
go. That should be a tattoo.
That
or
kind of
something.
language. With that kind of language, I gotta get out of here. No, I'm kidding. I actually do have to run, but it was great to see you guys.
Oh, you're leaving?
Take care,
Thank you for
Punk
stopping
King.
by, Punk King.
Just like some of the people in the comments, like, oh, relics here, I'm out.
Yeah, well, don't
Oh,
take it
wow.
personally. I'll make sure to make
Oh,
jokes.
they love you, man. It's all good, Punk King. You know you're always welcome.
Punking,
buddy.
you're the best. You're the best, punking.
See ya.
Yes.
See you, dude.
All
Take
right.
care.
Later, man. So, so for those of you that are joining for the first time, hope you guys will also like the stream here and sub to the channel.
Please come back.
Please come back.
Somebody in the comments
Please don't
chat
go.
called me a meat master.
Meat Master.
Ugh.
Okay, I hope I hope you're talking about
No, I
steakhouse
think
and
that's-
not like.
No, I think that they mean in the barbecue sense, right? Because barbecue.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Clearly
He's-
Established.
Okay.
He's he's a master of the meats.
All right.
So in the kind that you actually consume, not
Yeah.
not the kind that are
Well,
yeah.
John.
Well,
You
hell
could.
to you, good sir.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's not haram.
Oh yeah, it's Lucas. Oh, it's a haram.
That's the opposite of haram.
Yeah. He says, I'm your fan, bro. I appreciate it, man.
No,
Thank
no,
you."
I love him. Yeah, I just saw the picture. Like sometimes the names I forget, but when I see the picture, I'm like, oh, it's Porsche. I know this
I
guy.
see. I know that guy. Yeah.
I know that
Oh.
guy. Dude,
Alright, so-
I just cleaned out my garage and I found like a bunch of stuff from when I had the store.
Yeah.
And yeah, brought back a ton of memories, dude, and all this stuff that that we never got to do. Like my father and I, we were gonna make these baseboards look like Lego bricks,
Hmm.
and
That's
like we
cool.
have the prototype here.
Oh,
Just, like,
dude.
didn't get to
That'd
do
make
it.
for a fun video, man.
Yeah,
You should
man.
make a video. I think that'd be a fun
You should
video. to
open
do,
up
bro.
your own. You should open up your own store, not a Bricks and Minifigs store, but your
Okay,
own.
so give me 600 grand and then I'll open it.
I will. I'll get you 30 grand.
Like,
That's how I can go.
And you can actually open a store, relatively decent, around 25 to 130 grand.
Yeah. It depends.
And then it's the marketing really. Like I would take like 300 to make it like a 4,000 square foot store, and then you put everything to marketing so they could get
Yeah.
$1 million in sales like that.
Yes.
We'll talk
So
about it later.
I wanted to show this real quick. That's what Punking was talking about. That was BBQ's final the final form of his
Results.
meat there. There you go.
It reminds me
Okay,
of
what kind of meat is that?
Pulled
Pulled
pork.
pork. Click on it, John. Expand.
You can see it here. Boom shakalaka. There you go. Boom.
And the
All right.
result
It's a
is
thing of beauty. It's a thing of
can't
beauty.
forget the bev, John.
Gotta like that. It does
Never,
look
never,
delicious.
never.
So there's the final product. But let's get never. All right, we're gonna. So this is one that I wanted to actually talk about some days ago, but we had kind of we'd almost forgotten about it because I thought this was interesting. This is Clearly Established's video,
Okay.
where he talks about can reckless Ben sue Provo cops over Google warrant. So I thought
Mhm.
this would be interesting to kind of go over here.
I am Brandon Grable, Texas civil rights attorney, and you were waiting to respond to Reckless Ben's third video. Well, here it is. And what is most interesting about all of it is actually that Google warrant. Unfortunately, I don't have the affidavit. Okay, so since recording that, I did get the affidavit.
I like that.
Go through it later in the video.
That was good.
So just keep that in mind. I wish I did, because I can tell you exactly where the exposure points are. I know there were a lot of discussion about, well, the prosecutor was messed up for telling the judge because he's a YouTuber, he doesn't get the criminal information.
The defendant, he's a person he's a YouTuber, creates videos, publishes them online, and has been, if this defendant were to represent himself and we were to provide body cams and discovery, we would be now providing additional information and fodder for this defendant to create videos from which he could profit by placing them on YouTube at the expense of our victim.
Yeah, that is
Victim.
messed up. When the
It's
so
interesting
insane.
that they didn't say client, victim.
Yes. Well, remember
I always
that's the
hate that part.
prosecutor talking. So the prosecutors, they probably would frame it like as victim, right?
The prosecutor's a
No,
pussy.
I know, I get that, but like you know the psychology behind that is that like
yeah,
they're
for
trying
sure.
to make sure.
Well, it always makes it
that-
sound worse. Yeah. Like they've experienced it, because the word victim obviously implies that a crime was committed against him. You know what I mean? Or
Victim name
something
is
worse.
Josh. He's not a victim. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. So it's such a the fact that they would say that the prosecutor would say something like that too, like, hey, we can't provide this guy with stuff he needs to properly defend himself because he's just going to use it to make content. It's just like he still is entitled to the information he needs to properly defend himself.
Yeah.
That's insane. It's just like that's. Luckily, like I said, Ben didn't end up representing himself, but if he had, like I said, that's still, I don't think, he still would have been entitled to get that information either way. But it's good that he now has a lawyer that can do that heavy lifting for him. So,
Well, yeah,
state
John.
of Texas, that's a pretty common occurrence in criminal cases. They don't just give information out to the defendants. They usually require the criminal defense attorneys to maintain possession and control over that information. They don't want it getting out. As a matter of fact, they stamp a lot of the information with the criminal defense attorney's bar number. So if it ever
Yes,
did end up
Lucas.
on open source somewhere, you'd be able to try to tie back to the attorney that originally had it. Yeah, pretty insane. And if you know who Long Island Audit is, he recently did a video where he fired his criminal defense attorney because he saw that was the only way he could actually view the evidence against him or have control of the evidence against him.
So I did fire my attorney today. It's not what you think. I haven't seen the discovery because Connecticut has some really weird rules regarding discovery.
Man,
Where my lawyer, my
What's up?
attorney, can't send.
I lived 6 months in Connecticut. Connecticut
how was it?
sucks.
I heard it's
It
really
sucks.
expensive to live up there too.
Super expensive. I lived in Southington, and man, I forgot the other spot. But yeah, Connecticut sucks. It's their laws are weird. Cops are everywhere though. Like there's a cop like in every corner.
That's wild. It's like, what are you doing? I'm just breathing.
Crazy. It's like it's not allowed here.
Get him.
Pay your taxes.
Pablo Francisco.
Yeah,
You're that
like,
for Pablo Francisco, Aura?
Which one? Which one? Oh, yes, I do. The Jackie Chan.
It's-
Jackie Chan is the nicest guy in every movie. Leave me alone. yeah.
But everybody wants to mess with him. It's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm going to church. Get him.
Well, like, dude, but in Connecticut, people are super nice. They're rude and nice at the same time. That's just like
What is it?
that's
You're
what
smarter than you look.
the northern East Coast is, man. It's weird. But like when you go in the ghetto, like there's cops don't get out of the car.
Holy shit.
They'll just like get on horn and be like, hey, just keep it going, guys. Just move. Stop. They're not getting out of the car, they're gonna get shot.
Dang. It's like that.
Well, it's like any ghetto. Like
Yeah, of course.
cops
yeah,
usually
any
don't
places.
get out of the cars in the ghetto.
We should do
unless
a-
they absolutely need to.
We should do a ghetto tier list of America.
No, thank you.
Fun.
me the discovery.
It's too unsavory for real. Like he's like, nah, never mind.
Yeah, for real. I don't want no part of that shit.
No,
Puerto
we're-
Ricans over here.
I'm gonna turn into a Boondocks episode.
Oh no.
That's where it might be fun. I don't know.
On kick.
Members
We're going
only.
to
Members
bot-
only.
do that.
Maybe.
Members
Yeah.
only.
Yeah.
All right. Let me
Redacted body camera footage. He can't send me the police reports. He can only tell me about it, or I can go see it in his office. So I've yet to see exactly what evidence they're going to use against me. I will be seeing that soon. I'm gonna have to request to the judge to share that with each and every one of you. So we'll see how that goes.
So yeah, it's messed up. But in terms of civil rights liability or concerns, my main focus is on that warrant. So let's talk about it. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, Cloaked. Cloak actually dared me to see how exposed my sexual issue was, and no one back or information.
But the sponsor.
Feature. So with that,
like
I'm able
most-
to create
so much of
unlimited
the video.
burner emails, phone numbers, and usernames for your website. And then you go email address and I respond with identity on the fly with Cloaked number or other information.
Damn. All right.
To stop the loop. Use my link for
That was a long
30%
ad
off
read.
any plan
I was-
and start
it's-
creating
it's like
your
5
own
minute-
identities today.
5 minutes
On
of the video.
February 10th of this year, a judge in Utah signed a search warrant for Reckless Ben's Google data, presumably forcing Google to turn over everything. I just wanted to point out to you the absurdity in how this actually played out. All of these events allegedly happened back in December. However, what we have here is an affidavit that was executed on February 10th, 2026 at 3:38 p.m. by Medina Dore. And then we also know that the judge signed it the same day at 4:16 p.m. So we
That's
are led
quick.
to believe that within only a couple of minutes, this judge reviewed this multi-page affidavit. And if it was done electronically, the detective may not have even shown up to present it. It could have all just been through email or electronic database where there was no discussion at all. And you have a detective seeking all this Google information, allegedly, and you have a judge authorizing it. And based on the Google letter, they complied with it within 24 hours. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. And, you know, as a civil rights attorney or as an attorney, period, or as a person, that's concerning because you have a lot of information tied to your Google account. You're communicating with friends, family, lawyers. You have photos. You have private communications, things you wouldn't want anybody else to have. Google turned over the responsive materials immediately. And 2 months later, prosecutors filed charges in that investigation. My understanding, looking at the documents, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like it's criminal trespass and disorderly conduct. I'm not aware of them actually pursuing any felonies at this time. That doesn't mean it won't happen, but what was actually charged so far appears to be misdemeanors. And so when Reckless Ben is telling millions of people he's facing 15 years from a felony in this case.
Not only am I being charged with a bunch of mystery crimes in American Fork, Utah, but I'm also being charged with a second-degree felony up to 15 years in jail in Provo, Utah.
Yeah, that could be true. But based on the charging documents I saw, it was a Class B misdemeanor and a Class C misdemeanor that would not total 15 years. However, if the felony does go forward, well, that's a whole different story. And obviously, yes, the felony was something that the officers floated to the company's CEO on body camera before the prosecutor screened the case.
That there really was no extortion code that would fit your situation.
I wanted to pause real quick and show you the affidavit for the search warrant. It is interesting because when you have the detective making extremely clear to the BAM CEO that extortion doesn't fit, look at what Detective Medina Dore is actually representing to the judge in this affidavit. They want access to his YouTube information, to include his YouTube account, because they are looking for evidence of a crime, contraband, fruits of a crime, or other items illegally possessed, to wit, attempted theft by extortion.
However, you know, at the end of the day, we do want to help you guys so you're not having to deal with this fool and all of his issues. We did find that there was another code that fit, and it's called aggravated commercial obstruction. Looks like that might be a second-degree felony. He's facing felony charges. It is a felony.
And once the prosecutors did screen the case, we saw that they filed a trespass ticket. And that correction matters. And it's probably because of the public outcry and the backlash around this story, maybe the prosecutors realized they didn't want to get tied into that. Nonetheless, it's still pretty crazy that they go and get all of his Google information, presumably, and all that comes out of it are misdemeanor offenses. Think about that. The government was able to reach into a Google account, the place where your emails, your photos, your files, your search history, everything lives, in service of an investigation that ended in 2 misdemeanors. So today I have one question with 3 different parts. The first is, when can the government get into your Google account legally? We understand the process. They go and get a warrant, but that doesn't mean your rights were not violated. So what are the constitutional limits? And what do the documents in this case tell us about whether those limits were held? This is a Fourth Amendment issue.
So what was their reasoning for getting all this information? Was it the whole lie about like, oh, they're threatening to kill us, and that's what they?
So if you saw the part, the part that he highlighted was extortion and the commercial interference one, but you see extortion comes first. But the thing is, he wasn't being charged with extortion. He was going to be charged with extortion. So they lied. They lied. On the affidavit, right, to get that, or in order for.
So like, has there been any investigation of this judge that like approved it in a matter of minutes?
I'm sure there will be, because at some point, but as of right now, I haven't heard of anything like that. But obviously the detective, or that which I believe was the Medina Door lady, I believe she's the one that.
The thing is, I want to know, does Medina Door have some sort of connection with Bricks and Minifigs? Like, why is she acting like a lawyer? Like, she's so adamant in helping out freaking Ammon McNeff. Like, why? Why would you ever do that as a cop?
So I'm not sure if anybody has established a clear connection between her and Bricks and Minifigs or Ammon in the past or anything like that. But I know that, who was it? The BJC Live people. I've seen clips of her talking about the detective Medina Door, her past, and how she's been sued before for basically
lying,
for not for lying, but just
being a whore.
How she handled business. I'm sure somebody in there it is. Yeah, what Godstrike is saying. She arrested a guy who admitted to swallowing a bunch of drugs. He went unconscious, and then she dropped him off in the hospital without notice anyways, and he died, I believe.
What a crazy bitch, man. How is she still working?
He ended up dying. Yeah. So,
she ended up getting promoted.
She ended up getting promoted, I believe, because she was an officer. She was an officer when that happened. She was an officer when that happened.
Could you imagine that, John? I swear, like people like you and I, John, people like you and I, right? We can get in trouble for like fucking anything, right? They'll let you go for fucking anything, right? But like, look at that shit. She got a dude killed because
she got promoted. She became a detective.
Got promoted, but caveat: if it was a black dude, we'd have another George Floyd situation.
They would have fist fought her in the street. You think?
No, we probably would have heard about this at least. Like, and also we haven't heard about it till now.
It's true,
right? Which is insane.
The body cam.
Lego was able to shed light on this lady just practically killing a guy.
Do you not remember what I say about like the whole Ben thing? I was like, it is legendary for a YouTuber to do what Ben did, like to fucking like fuck up a corporation and probably several police departments at this point, because that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's exposing LAPD. He's exposing Provo Police Department, American Fork Police Department, and possibly a few others.
Yeah, possibly, depending on what we see from that comes out of these other police departments, right?
Yeah, because like this is the thing where like we've talked about Reckless Ben and like how creative he is, how he's intelligent in certain things, maybe he's innocent or a little too pure on other things, but the things that he's doing to help the world, like exposing like these cult organizations, all these Hollywood freaking executives, like look at his content. Like all he's doing is stuff to help like people who've been a victim of these bullies.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that people like try to downplay the word bully, but no, bully is a big deal.
Yeah.
Mr. the Mr. Island guy. I don't know if you can even say his name on the internet anymore.
I
But the
already said
Island
it.
guy, huh?
I already
You said
said
it?
it earlier. I
Oh,
did,
Papa
yeah.
Papa Epstein. He like that kind of stuff. Like, can you imagine if Reckless Ben, like all this was happening, like maybe Reckless Ben would have exposed this dude early
Oh,
on,
dude.
and like
Yeah.
this guy's a
I
bully.
went to Epstein's
you know?
Island. Yeah.
I could see
It's
it.
like, it's just like, yeah, I mean, it takes people like that, that are a little bit reckless, right, to get these kind of results. That's what I'm saying.
But
Like,
reckless, but somebody who cares, because
yeah, exactly.
you can't be doing this stuff if you don't care. Because
Yeah.
there's a limit that you go for money and clicks when your life is on the line and
Mhm.
facing prison. Like, he truly does care.
Yeah, I believe so too. I think so too. Even
Yeah,
though,
yeah.
like I said, people can question. It's fine for people to question his motives, but I do genuinely believe that he's coming, even if his methodology is something I think people can criticize, right, when it's worth criticizing. But I think
It gets the job done.
But I think
A lot
the
of times,
result,
yeah.
I think the result is what's important, and I think the result is what's important, and the fact that I believe his heart is in the right place. You know what I mean?
And
His intentions are good overall.
yeah, like so I just noticed something in the chat. Has there been a lot of hate? I saw some things, but has there been hate for the part 3 video that Reckless Ben put out? I just saw Godstrike.
Well, I don't know if
yeah.
maybe there. I know there's some people that have some criticisms about part 3, but all in all, it seemed to be, at least from what I saw, it seemed to be widely accepted.
Yeah.
I wanted to share this video real quick. This is from Frugal Family Flies Again. For those of you that aren't subbed to her channel, really nice lady. Her name is Julie. She's the one that was a part of that protest, and she's the one that first initially interviewed Ben when he went. Well, I'm sorry, not Ben, Jerome. Ben's friend Jerome, who
Yes.
kind of has a similar, who has it looks
Similar
kind of
twang,
similar to Ben, but is totally not Ben.
Yeah.
But she put this video out, and I'm sure I don't think she shares any documents in it, but we'll just watch it real quick since we're on the subject of Provo, because she warns that there's some stuff that she's looking into on Provo. So I'm assuming at some point in time she's going to probably be releasing more, but I thought it'd be worth hearing what she has to say.
Hey kids, Mama here. Happy Sunday. I have started looking into the Provo Police Department. I spent all day yesterday researching, taking notes, digging. And while there are certainly some incidents, and we will cover them, some incidents of excessive force, used against citizens by police, the overwhelming issue that I am running into is not even at all surprising. And that is a sexual assault and the cover up of that.
Oh my.
Get out of here.
The ranks of the actual Provo Police Department, but not just that, also things in relation to BYU and elsewhere.
Really?
And none of this is surprising because
I'm surprised.
Utah is notorious if you're here and have your eyes open, notorious, whether it's BYU, the Mormon Church, the police departments, schools, the government. That is something that gets covered up the most. Handled internally, if handled at all.
Sheesh.
It is rampant. It is horrific. It is absolutely an ongoing issue here in Utah.
The fuck is going on in Utah?
So that's what I'm
Jeez.
running into the most so far with.
So you
the
want to press
Provo Police
pause
Department.
real
So-
quick? Like,
Wonder what she found.
So I have a few friends that different states outside of Utah. So a lot of newer officers have been initiated or got their jobs, and there's currently still a lot of old heads that protected or were trained by protecting public school system, right? So just like when the scandal for the Catholic Church was released, when it became public about pastors doing what they did, the public school system has been scared for the past like 10 years because they just move around teachers that have committed certain acts, right, towards kids. And I've recently been in contact with a few police departments outside of Utah. It's like almost every single police department in the US is terrified about what will be exposed in Utah, because then like the police departments will, like, pretty much throughout the entire US will be under investigation. And there's like levels of corruptions of hiding evidence of sexual assault throughout all of Utah, all of the United States, that there's like, they're either waiting it out because of statute of limitations. They've been terrified for the past 10 years, especially when like YouTube start exposing CNN, and when the
See what Rachel said in chat?
What's up?
Look up child weddings in Utah. Get out of here.
I mean, that's not that's not too wild when you consider like FLDS, right? FLDS, and those are, just for record, FLDS is not, from my understanding, and you could correct me if I'm wrong here, but like FLDS does not represent the majority of Mormons in.
No, they don't represent Mormons at all.
They are completely separate. They are their teachings are also different, right? Where like they have a lot of things.
So the FLDS, what they teach is like they took the Book of Mormon and they were mad about the creator of the LDS church was mad that it wasn't like a monarchy type situation where like, like the prophet's son should be the next one in line and then his son should be a prophet. Like, no, it's not. It doesn't work that way, right? And then they created the FLDS church and then became very, like, they adopted Amish like teachings. Like, so if you go down to the south of Utah, St. George, you see it way more prevalent. But they are the ones that like have multiple wives. They say they believe in, it's kind of like a Jehovah's Witness where they pick certain parts of the Bible. They'll do the same thing with the Book of Mormon, the Bible, and sometimes other religious texts. And they have a whole, like, it's a smaller organization, but they're very prevalent. And it's strange. It's extremely strange.
They practice polygamy, and they also practice like they engage in a lot of
debauchery.
Debauchery.
I don't want to get
like, it's like pairing up. What's the, like, what Indians do?
Arranged.
But they'll arrange like some older woman or older dude to marry a younger, like 13 or
like a
12-year-old boy or girl.
Sometimes in some extreme cases, even younger than that. It just depends. Like, that's why it's just like, I think the most
disgusting.
Yeah, it's really gross. One of the most, obviously the most, and that's something we could probably talk about.
Well, and they're very quiet. It's because there's like, people always think it's
they have their own
Mormon
communities.
Like people always think they're the Mormon church, so like nobody ever investigates the FLDS.
Yeah.
I
mean, the guy that got the most high profile within the last 20, 30 years that got busted was Warren Jeffs, right? And what's crazy is that Warren Jeffs is in prison, and they still hold him. He's still considered their prophet. And that dude still does sermons from his prison cell and still has control of his congregation, I guess, for a better way to put it. It's insane. And they still listen to him. It's wild. But he, from a prison cell, that dude is still like delivering messages to his congregation and stuff, and they're still following him. I mean, a good portion of them left too, obviously, after he got busted, but he still holds a lot of influence, even from his
and he holds a lot of influence in government somehow.
That too, yeah, because he had a lot of like local politicians, sheriffs, and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
He's very well connected in Nevada and Arizona. Like
Mhm.
Nevada, dude, like the things that happen in Vegas, like you could tie
Yep.
a lot to
Yeah, the dude-
disappearances with this guy.
Yeah, dude owned a ton of land. Yeah, the guy is absolute piece of shit, but somehow
Mhm.
again still has found a way to have influence over people, even from a prison cell. It's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy. But let's not divert too much. We'll finish up Julie's video here, then we'll go back to clearly established.
My issue here is, yes, I want to cover it. It needs to be dragged out into the light, certainly. But it's going to be heavy. And it'll require trigger warnings, I'm sure. And because of my own personal experiences in that department, I'm not 100% sure that I'm up to the task, being the one that brings all that out. Part of me says, well, maybe it'll be therapeutic.
If Julie, if you end up watching this stream, if it's too rough, let us unburden you of some of that load. Just, hit me up. You know how to get in contact with me. If it's too difficult for you, totally understandable. If you need help, just let me know. I'll try to be available.
We'll see. But just
Or if you want
an
to come on,
update,
you want
let
to
you
have
know.
her on?
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
looking into it.
yeah, if Julie wants to come on, she's welcome. She's welcome to come on. I've reached out to her before, but I think after the stream, I'll email her again.
And it's nasty. It's nasty.
I mean, because look, what's in the darkness must come into the light, right?
Yeah.
And somebody's got to do it. So if that's like I said, yeah, and I completely understand Julie's viewpoint too. It's some of that stuff, when you, especially
When
if
you
you've
open the
had your
bottle.
own, yeah, when you've had your own past traumatic experiences, or you have a past, of maybe family members that have gone through that and it's affected you in some capacity, I could see how difficult it can be for somebody to kind of open up those wounds again, right? By, looking into stuff like this, because it's heavy stuff. Our buddy Crow would talk about all the time. One of the reasons why he was so passionate about covering certain things and was such an ardent defender
Speaker.
against and speaker against
False
abuse,
Yeah.
false allegations and abuse against minors and things like that, was because of experience, some of family members of his that had gone through similar experiences. So Crow would get very passionate about stuff like that. Damn, we need to get Crow back on one of these days. Just have him come
Yeah.
on. But
Whenever he's ready.
whenever he's ready. Yeah, but so we understand. Like I said, we understand. I understand completely where Julie's coming from, and it's just like, it could be a burden, right? If especially if it's gonna open up old wounds and mess with your mind and stuff like that.
And if we're going to dig into the internal workings and internal cover-ups of the Provo Police Department,
You gotta be careful with stuff like this too. That's the other thing, because when
She
you start,
lives in that state.
because she lives there, she actually
If I was her, I would have opened up a channel that doesn't show my face.
Yeah.
Because again, if you're uncovering, things that obviously they don't want in light, so what are they willing to do to shut you up?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Put yourself in a dangerous position, but again, that's what it takes, though, right? Because I mean, when you look at what Ben is doing, right, and what Ben projects that Ben has alleged that he's looking into that are even more serious than this, right? That are more serious than the Bricks and Minifig stuff. I think one of the things that he mentioned, kind of in passing, hinted at, was that he's looking into some, and again, don't quote me on this. I don't know for a fact because I haven't talked to Ben, but it's I think one of the things he said kind of in passing was, or hinted at, was that it has to do with potential trafficking. One of the situations he's looking into.
Yeah, like the one in Australia.
Yeah, so you're looking, you're going into dangerous territory there.
Well, like
getting into that stuff.
the funny, well, not funny, but like the difference with the situation of the Bricks of Minifigs, right? The other ones, before really putting it out, he kind of completed at least most of it, and then he would put it on the internet.
Yeah.
Right. Like this is like he understood that Bricks of Minifigs is going to drag this out, that there's so many things going on. You know, he's getting arrested. He's going through all this stuff that he's like, well, I'm not going to wait to have it all complete and then expose them. Like they need to be exposed now because people are getting ruined. And like, you know, Brian's dad is sick. Brian, like all this stuff. So that's where this is interesting because we're not watching just a documentary, right? We're watching an actual documentary get played out.
A real-time event.
Yeah.
A real-time situation.
We don't know how this documentary is gonna end. There is no finished version of this documentary, right?
No,
so
exactly.
Like that's why I think this has grasped so many people.
Exactly.
And it's brought these things to light.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, when you think about it, right? The one thing about this is, even though people can speculate about how they think it's going to end, the only thing that's for sure is that nothing's for sure. Because even though, again, it could look like Ben has a slam dunk case. Oh, Ben's got a slam dunk case. He's totally going to win in court. Until it actually goes through that process, we still don't know. Like I said, I still stand by it'll probably settle, but it might not. It might go all the way. It might get as far as discovery. It might get as far as deposition. Hell, it might even go to trial for all we know if mediation doesn't go through.
These people are crazy.
Yeah.
Like literally, we're finding out like day by day how crazy they actually are. Like Eamon sociopathic ass right over here.
Yep. Yeah, bro. I mean, and you see it more and more anytime he
Every
speaks
day.
what he thinks. You see it more and more every time he speaks when he thinks that it won't necessarily go anywhere.
Eamon is the first artificial human. Like that's what I feel like. I feel like, you know what I mean? I feel like he's the first artificial human, like sustenance for Eamon. You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
He's like Zuckerberg.
The mustache is like his fucking antenna. You know what I mean? Like
that's
how
he
gets
Zuckerberg.
cellular service or something.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Kind of like that.
It's just, I think, he might have a little bit of the.
He's
of
an
the
artificial
Zuckerbot.
human.
Yeah.
You know, he might have a little bit of the
Skinwalker
Zuckerbot in
or
him.
something.
Skinwalker.
But like, what? Like that Skinwalker must be retarded because who would choose that skin, fool?
That's what I'm saying.
Who would want to look like that?
I don't. I think I'd like to think that the Skinwalker attacked and then Eamon turned around. And it's like, oh god, you know, it's too late. You got him. You know, like it was over.
It's like, oh damn it. He's one of the lizard people.
You remember this? You guys remember this? For the chat. This is for the chat, y'all. Remember this?
Because you're human, and I was human. I am human still. But
that's when Zuckerberg when he malfunctioned. When he malfunctioned, it's like, oh shit. Run.
I am human.
Run counter program. Quickly.
He's like, oh shoot, my bad. Artificial.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like I said, just we don't know how it's going to end. Even if we think we know, we don't really know. Or we speculate because that's the thing. That's always going to be the concern with stuff that ends up in court, right? Whether civil or criminal, but especially civil. Civil is much harder to know what's going to happen, I think, in a civil trial than it is a criminal one because of, in my opinion, just because there's stuff that might have not been considered. And just because if certain things are met, if certain causes of actions are met by letter of the law, by definition and stuff like that, that's something that the judge is going to consider, right, against Ben and his people. It's like, well, technically, I mean, this falls under it, or whatever. And they could end up ruling in favor of Eamon, but you never, and for all we know, they could have an ace up their sleeve that nobody ever saw coming, right? That's the other thing too. So You know, and that's usually when the surprises start happening is when somebody's back is really against the wall. They're just like, Uno reverse. So I'll finish up this video though real quick.
I mean, we have to dig into where they've helped cover up in other areas and in other locations, like specifically like BYU. And then, I mean, naturally, the natural progression is to then jump into the cover-ups in the LDS Mormon Church. It's a rabbit hole, and it's a nasty one. Buckle up and stay tuned. Just don't be surprised if Mama needs like some gummies or a shot of whiskey. Some of these. Okay.
Some gummies, some shot of whiskey.
There you go. There's the update.
All right, so there's Julie from Frugal Family. If you guys want to check her channel out, give her a sub. I'll link the video there. Good people. Just be sure to check her out. And like I said, you know, offer still stands out there if she needs any help with anything.
Wait, you know her?
Yeah. I've talked to Julie before.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I've talked to Julie before. She's a very nice lady.
Awesome.
So here we go. Now we're going to try to finish this one up.
Applied to the account that you're probably logged into right now watching this video. So generally speaking, how does the government usually get into a Google account?
I'm now starting to think that the only reason Ammon wanted us to email him about the inventory list wasn't actually give us the inventory list, but actually it was a trap. Yeah, Ammon only wanted to email him so he can find out my email and subpoena Google and find out all of my private information. You think
that freaking licking of the lips underneath the mustache? Yeah, like what are you doing? It's funny. It's funny. I'll give that. Over 120 people in chat. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Be sure to hit the like. Hope you guys are subscribed. Make sure to have the notification.
Yeah.
You guys being here. We'll continue.
Let's fucking go.
Let's do this thing.
But they actually did this. They subpoenaed Google asking for all private information tied to this email address. And Google sent them like hundreds of hours of all the raw footage from everything I've filmed in the Lego video so far, all my emails, all my search history, all the metadata that shows everywhere I've been.
So this is Ben's description. I get it. He's not a lawyer. He's just understanding that it's kind of tied into this whole BAM fiasco. But let's start about with what he said that really can't be right. He said that Google was subpoenaed, usually a civil process. And usually with subpoenas, Google isn't just going to give you all of the contents. I've tried. And under federal law, there's a provision under the Stored Communications Act that actually prohibits Google from handing your emails, your files, and footage and all that stuff to a private party. Usually what they can get through a subpoena is basic subscriber information. You know, your IP address, your user login information. But the actual substance, you need more than a subpoena. You need a badge. You need a document signed by a judge, a search warrant. And to get the search warrant, there needs to be probable cause and a judge's signature. And so I think that's what this actually is. The letter that Reckless Ben posted, it shows that there was actually a warrant. Google's legal team addressed a letter to Detective Medina Dorr of the Provo Police Department. And the subject was search warrant dated February 10th, 2026. Case number 25PR26279. Now, when we look at the charging document, we see that same police number, 25PR26279. It's the same case. So the warrant for Reckless Ben's Google account was issued in the very investigation that produced the trespass and disorderly conduct charges. And one more layer, because Utah is genuinely ahead of most states here. Utah actually has their own Electronic Information Privacy Act that independently requires a probable cause warrant before police can go obtain your stored data or the information that you've transmitted to a provider like Google. And the reason that's important is because under federal law, it used to be, a law enforcement request was enough. You didn't have to go to the step of getting a judge's signature. So the process used here was the legally correct instrument. A warrant is how it's supposed to be done, which means the entire case constitutionally comes down to a single question. What did that warrant say? And the corresponding
what was
affidavit,
the probable cause?
of course. And to be clear, the Fourth Amendment doesn't just
like I said, I think well, he showed the affidavit before, so it's just like I wonder if he's going to show
require a warrant. It dictates what the warrant has to be. It has to be issued on probable cause. Specifically, there needs to be particularity describing the place to be searched, the persons or things to be seized. Particularity. That word is doing 300 years of work. The founders wrote it because they had lived under this concept of general warrants, documents that let the king's officers, redcoats, rummage through anything looking for whatever they may find. They could just go into your house and say, I'm just going to look through every drawer everywhere just because the king said I could. So the particularity requirement exists so that a warrant is a scalpel, not a dragnet. Now apply that to a Google account, which, as we mentioned, holds more of your life than any house the founders could have imagined. And when the warrant and affidavit in this case does surface, 4 questions will decide everything. And I'm going to give you that checklist now so that when we read it, and we will, I hope, you could grade it for yourself. Question 1 is the nexus. Did the affidavit explain why evidence of this crime, a trespass and disturbance of a corporate office on December 10th, would be found in any Google account held by Ben? And if you wanted to play devil's advocate and look at this from the state's perspective, maybe there is a nexus story here for some categories. Reckless Ben did film the December 10th encounter himself, and he posted that on his channel.
That you own this life.
I mean, I can give you proof if you want.
Right, provide proof.
But right after he says this, he's now asking us to provide him proof that we actually are entitled to these Legos. So we can't leave now because he just told us to stay and provide proof. And then at the very end of the conversation, he says this one more time.
Okay, you've been asked to leave. Please leave.
We have to leave? Okay. Well, thank you for working with us, and so see you later.
And he acknowledged that he sent email correspondence to the company, and that's how they apparently got his email address. So would his emails have information about who told him to leave, who invited further contact? Who knows? And raw footage of the incident could also be sitting in a Google Drive folder, along with communications with anybody about the company. So those are potentially categories where a judge could say, yeah, there's possibly a nexus here. To be honest, I'm not really concerned about the nexus question because that question doesn't answer whether police can ever look into a Google account. It's whether the affidavit actually connects the dots for those things. Now, question 2, particularity. Is there actually an items to be seized category that's tethered to the offense? Are there date limits? For example, does it say, give me all video recordings of the December 10th incident? Or communications with BAM. That, for example, would be the scalpel we're looking for, very narrow and specific. Or did they go and ask for all information associated with all these accounts? Well, that's a dragnet that the particularity clause was written against. And Armendariz out of the 10th Circuit actually resharpened an old 10th Circuit rule, and that covers Utah, that fits this case like a glove. That actually gives Ben a clear path for Fourth Amendment violations. Provost police obviously knew the exact date that they were concerned about, December 10th. They knew the exact counterparties, the company's own people. And so when the government has the information to write a narrow warrant, but then they go write a broad one instead, well, the choice is itself.
Look at all this. All records or other information, any stored data, full names, date of birth, physical address, alternate recovery email addresses, recovery telephone numbers and other identifiers, records of session times and durations, login IP address, device location history, any Google Maps timeline details, all other records or other information retained by Google, location services, timeline, and files to include but not limited to other Google's incorporated features such as Google Map app data to include locations, Google storage device, location history, any other data captured and stored by Google. Shit, they wanted fucking everything, man. Do that shit.
Evidence of overbreadth or being overly broad, invading Ben's expectations of privacy, violating his Fourth Amendment. Question 3, and this is where the law just moved, because for years, the government's answer to overbreadth complaints was, well, we put a date range on it and a time limit. And usually you challenge the overbreadth issue in a criminal case. You try to get it struck. You're like, hey, they screwed up. It was overly broad. Any evidence they got, they're not allowed to use. And the government usually says, well, look, we put a date range on it. We had a time limit. And 4 months ago, the federal appellate court that binds Utah said a time limit alone is not enough. Our Menderes arose after a housing march in Colorado Springs where police got a warrant compelling Facebook to turn over an activist organization's account content. They wanted all posts, all messenger chats, all events limited to a 7-day window around the time of the march. Hold on to that detail. 7 days, a 1-week window tied to identified offenses, but the court still held that warrant was overbroad because
do we know if they only did this to Ben or any of the other parties, like that they had to give their Google information and stuff?
So as far as I know, Provo police, as far as we know publicly so far, I think it was only to Ben.
Okay.
I don't think anybody else. I mean, I'm sure that Ammon probably wanted to know. I would assume. Let me just say this. I would assume that Ammon probably also wanted to know who was with Ben, like the identity of the,
Yeah.
Oh, I want information on the guy that was with Ben or the guys that were with Ben or whatever, right? On, whichever days it was that he came, right? He probably wanted that stuff too. But I think, as far as I know, at least, it looks like this was only for Ben's information so far as Provo goes. So, that we know of so far.
The operative word in every category was all. And the court was blunt about it. An affidavit cannot rescue a warrant whose own text says all. And so even when they argue, well, they had a time window, that's 7 days. Well, it doesn't cure the word all. And that part, in my opinion, is huge. It changes the landscape. So the officers in that case did not get qualified immunity. The court held that 10th Circuit law on overbroad warrants, cases running back to the 1980s, was already clearly established. So what that court did was they sent the case back and they wanted the trial court to take another look under the new guidance. Unfortunately, they didn't hold anybody liable. It's still early on in the case, but still, the case law is great. It says when you go get an overly broad warrant, there are concerns there where officers don't get qualified immunity. That's huge. The crux of the opinion was significant because it actually said that provider warrants, like in that case to Facebook, deserves particular scrutiny because provider accounts provide a single window into almost every detail of a person's life. And provider data already comes pre-sorted and categorized, so the needle in a haystack excuse for grabbing everything and trying to figure out what applies just doesn't matter here.
Rubate, hey buddy, thank you so much for the 5. This insane story started with some Legos. We are now at the end of a company, a police force, and a judge, and possible criminal charges for all 3. Right? Like I said, they probably will make an actual movie out of this someday.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it has all the makings.
Well, I think Reckless Ben could do a movie.
Yeah,
like because remember his dream is to actually become a director and do movies.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe he could. Yeah, I mean, and he has the first-hand account.
From what I know, like there's so much information of like how many videos I've watched. I've never consumed so much YouTube in the past 2 months than I have in my entire life.
I think I'm there with you.
So like I get so much jumbled up in here, man. I'm like freak.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a lot to keep up with too.
It's just all crazy how this is all coming together in a fucking weird way, John.
Yep. And it doesn't stop.
The government can literally ask a company for what it wants and the company will get it. So everything the court said about a Facebook account is obviously true of a Google account. Actually, I would argue with more force, not less. I think Google probably collects way more than Facebook does. And the court did not mince words. It said explicitly, we declined to permit wide-ranging exploratory searches of digital data merely because a minor crime with an intent requirement occurred at a protest. So swap at a protest for at a corporate office, and you have the exact same question that this warrant, in Ben's case, will have to answer. Now, there are issues when you try to challenge a warrant because a lot of times the officers are going to say, well, a judge signed it. We're just doing what a judge did. Yeah, and that judge's signature is pretty powerful, but you can still attack the information, especially if the affidavit misleads the judge. You have to look at what information was provided, did the officer intentionally mislead or misrepresent or omit critical information that's relevant to the probable cause analysis? And obviously, I still have concerns now in light of recent case law of judges signing any warrant that contains the language of all that doesn't meet the requirements, right? But yes, allegedly in this case, a neutral judge found probable cause and signed a Google warrant, and Google complied with it. So there will be uphill battles if there were any legal challenges. But the Armendariz case shows how genuinely debatable this issue is in the space. Case law in 2026 is still defining the scope. So there's obviously a route to have that fight. And I will tell you, I have had cases in the past where law enforcement agencies do exactly what they did to Reckless Ben. They write out a search warrant and they send it to Google. And in those cases, Google has actually gone back to my clients and said, hey, we received a law enforcement request. Usually have 48 hours or a couple of days to tell us if you dispute it. Otherwise, we're going to comply with it. And really what they want to know is, are you going to get a court order, right? That would actually require you to file a lawsuit, because even if there's a warrant, there's technically not an active case where a judge is assigned. So you have to file a civil rights case under the Fourth Amendment and hope that a federal judge is going to interfere with a criminal investigation. And they will if the warrant is obviously overbroad for any and all information without any time limits. The scope is insane. So another question I would have here is, once Google got that information, did they give any notice whatsoever to Reckless Ben? Did he have any time or opportunity at all to try to challenge or prevent Google from complying with it? After looking at the search warrant, we have our answer. And it was obvious from the timeline as well. They got the warrant on February 10th. Google complied with February 11th. But at the bottom of the search warrant, we have this order for non-disclosure. The court ordered Google to delay notification any other person of the existence of this warrant for a period of 90 days, which means that the detective, and who knows who the detective shared the information with, had all of Ben's information for at least 90 days before he was ever notified that this breach took place. So if Ben decided,
that is nuts, right? To have your private information looked at, right?
Yeah.
And not even fucking know for 3 months that it happened.
Yeah.
That's fucking
That's
Steve.
insane.
Yeah, start
Love you guys.
deleting everything.
Keep doing the do. Steve, what are you doing, Steve? Steve, you should be in here with us.
Good to see you, Steve the Lion.
Good to see you, Steve.
What up? Don't know who you are. What's up?
That's our buddy Steve.
Sick.
That's our buddy Steve, old friend of ours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Steve doing big things on his channel too. Be sure to check him out, Steve the Live. He streams every day. Every day, my man is a hustler. He's a hustler, baby.
Hell yeah.
If he wanted to pursue a lawsuit, he has plenty of options here. There's a lot of different avenues for him to take. And we know, of course, what these officers are going to do. They're going to claim, qualified immunity. And there is another part of this. As long as there's criminal charges pending, that's going to be a little hiccup in pursuing civil rights cases. Federal court.
Speaking of qualified immunity, and this is the crazy thing, right? The Medina door lady, the one that was talking to Ammon, that case that she got sued for the wrongful death suit, she did not have qualified immunity. But like I said, somehow she survived that and she ended up getting fucking promoted.
That is fucking nuts.
That is insane.
And this is like, these are the kind of things that it astonishes me that people are still like, oh yeah, we got this in the bag. The truth is out there. Ben's gonna win. Like, dude.
Yeah, that's why.
So many times, like we've had evidence just like molested in front of us, and like the bad guy wins. Like, where's all this optimism? Like, I get it. I don't want to be like negative or whatever.
Downer.
But the bad guys win quite often. This ain't a movie. In real life, bad guys win quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Yeah, it's freaking wild to me, man. Yeah. It's just like, and when you see like this, there's so many instances of this too, right? The people that do the wrong thing and they end up failing upwards.
Yeah,
exactly. Detective Dorr. She was Officer Dorr when that whole shit went down. right? When the whole shit went down with the one guy that OD'd, right? I believe she was an
Yeah.
officer at that time. That's fucking nuts, man. You know?
It is fucking nuts to think about.
Yeah.
What's going on in Utah? That's
Yeah,
what is happening.
It's nuts.
Don't really
crazy.
like.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
fucking
nuts.
crazy.
Absolutely.
Like, here's the good thing about all this coming out in Utah is that we can isolate a state and get rid of all this corruption. And then hopefully we could do that with other things like, I don't know, freaking the LAPD, because they're involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think California is like, no matter what you do, it's always going to stay
Yeah.
corrupt. But like, it's one of the really good things about exposing all this. It sucks that there's corruption. It sucks, but this is nothing new. I always talk whenever I talk about politics, I always point out like for the corruption in Brazil and how not only Brazil and where else was it?
Venezuela.
And I don't think it was Venezuela. Those multiple countries that like were warning the U.S. like, hey, like you guys are headed down corruption. You guys have current corruption, and all these like issues about race and abortion, all this stuff that everybody's fighting over there in the U.S. This is just their way to get you guys distracted so that they can implement a bunch of garbage that eventually will move your what's it called? Because right now it's a republic, right? The U.S. is a republic.
Yeah.
We'll move your republic to an eventual dictatorship.
A constitutional republic. Yeah.
So it's like this stuff that's happening. It's nothing new. It ain't nothing new, and it's crazy that like it took Reckless Ben and a Lego story to help people wake up that like, hey, the country ain't perfect. It's a great country. There's some bull crap in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like whoever you believe is on your side, they ain't.
Yeah.
If they have the word politician next to them, they ain't on your side, man.
Yeah. Usually, I mean, look, the places that have the biggest police departments
Yeah.
are always the ones with the most ridiculous, crime happening, right? California has the third largest police department in the country, that being LAPD. The number one is, of course, New York. New York is number one. They got the largest police department in the country. But you see all the problems that those states have. But one thing I hope that comes out of this, like I said, is even if it's on a small scale, if there could be a precedent set by shining the light on more than one police department in Utah, that would be great. That would be great if a precedent could be set because of the light being shined on these departments, that it puts other, some of the more, some of the other ones, right, that are out there on notice, that it's just like, you need time to start shaping up, right? Time to really start shaping up before, you get a Reckless Ben coming to your, to your side of the, to your side of the country, right?
Getting
That's the other thing,
involved
too,
or interfering with criminal.
Guy like, obviously a guy like Ben's not going to be the last one. Exactly. And you got people like Nick Shirley out there. These guys like Nick Shirley and Reckless Ben are proving that just
Tyler
Oliveira. These are guys that are showing that just, they're citizen journalists that are out there, just hitting the streets and just exposing a bunch of stuff and making a difference.
It's inspiring. Like everybody in the chat that watches this video, whatever, should be inspired that like you can make a difference. How little you contribute to whatever it is, like don't sell yourself short. You could make something happen.
Yeah. Like I said, it's true. All it takes one person, right? And it goes from there. So
y'all help keep the story alive. Y'all help keep the story alive. It's
exactly
still going because of you.
Yeah, every one of you that's here right now is why this thing is going to continue forward. For sure.
They will under narrow circumstances, but usually they don't. So even if there were to be a lawsuit filed today, to the extent it could be viewed as kind of interfering with the criminal process, they will likely stay the case. And here's another issue that throws a wrench in all of this. Say, for example, he wanted to challenge false arrest. And he's like, look, I was unlawfully arrested, but then he's somehow convicted or he takes some kind of plea deal in any of the underlying charges. Well, at that point, he can't legally challenge the underlying arrest, because how can he say he was unlawfully arrested but then plead guilty or be found guilty? So if any person is serious about pursuing civil rights litigation arising from any arrest or any interaction with law enforcement, you have to be aware and ask your attorney, what is the impact of accepting a plea deal or being found guilty on a potential civil rights case? I'll bring you more updates as this case progresses. If you want to keep following along, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks again to our sponsor, Cloak.
Good stuff there again from Clearly Established. I'll link his video here for those of you that want to watch it its entirety without our commentary there. Great channel, always putting out some really good informative stuff as well.
What's the channel?
Clearly Established.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll link it here in our, or I'll link the video in our private chat so you can check them out. But he's put out a couple videos too that are.
I probably won't check it out. I am so sick of hearing lawyers speak. It's just
you're over it. You're over it.
Yeah, man. I'm like, whatever.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. So
yeah. It's good information. It's important. But I'm like,
it gives you an idea of at least it gives you perspective, but it also gives you an idea of where things could go.
Look, in my mind, it's like so many things could be resolved with physical violence. That like all this rigmarole, like beat somebody up and then like, where the Legos, man? Like, show me. Like, it's just, I'm just saying. It's not the answer, but it's a answer.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
There needs to be a Batman, right? Instead of
we need a Batman.
Where are the Legos? Where are they?
You never give to an ordinary citizen.
Batman, you never owned the Legos. I hate that.
Do you feel in charge?
Oh my gosh.
Where Batman when you need him, man? Where he at?
Batman, man.
Yeah,
chilling. I don't know, man.
Right when we need him, right? All right. Well, we're pretty much at the end here. We appreciate you guys joining us. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, but I hope you guys would like the stream. If you're new here, like I said, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications. We appreciate you guys being here. We'll be back tomorrow with another one, so be sure to come back and check us out then. Thank you to Relic for joining us and Punking for the cameo earlier tonight. So appreciate him for that.
It's over?
Yeah, we're at the end. We're at the end here, buddy. Well, you stick around afterwards, of course.
Yeah, I might stream tonight.
All right, so
a few hours, but
if you guys, I'm gonna link Relic's channel here in the chat for those of you who want to check him out. If you're not subbed to him, be sure to sub to the last Relic.
Well, what's so funny?
I just think it's hilarious that Relic was all like disappointed it was over.
We'll try to go longer to the next one. We'll try to go longer to the next one.
It's just funny. That's all. I thought it was funny.
I'm like, I like chilling.
There's Relic's channel. If you guys want to check him out and sub to him, make sure he's going to be streaming. Might be streaming later, so put on the notifications. But I appreciate you guys joining us. You guys have a fantastic Monday evening, and we'll see y'all on the next one.
Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Peace out, ladies.